A very good morning to one and all present here. It's an honor for all of us to be hosting an eminent personality such as the distinguished General VP Malik, PVSM, ABSM. And I'm sure all of us are more than just privileged to have him here with us today. I shall now begin with an introduction as your host. General VP Malik was Chief of Army Staff of the Indian Army from 1st October 1997 to 30th September 2000. Concurrently, he was Chairman, Chiefs of Staff Committee of India from 1st January 1999 to 30th September 2000. As Chief of the Army Staff, General Malik had dual responsibility of being an advisor to the government as well as commander of the 1.2 million strong Indian Army to fulfill its national role. During his tenure as the Army Chief, beside many other operations, he coordinated and oversaw planning and execution of Operation Vijay to successfully defeat Pakistan's attempted intrusion in Kargil sector 1999. He was awarded Ati Vishisht Seva Medal in 1986 and Param Vishisht Seva Medal, the highest military award for distinguished services in India, in 1996. Some other awards include Excellence in Leadership Award by Atul Foundation, Distinguished Fellowship of the Institute of Directors, New Delhi, Punjab Ratan Award by Punjab Writers and Cultural Forum, and Pride of the Nation Award by Doon Citizens Council. Post-retirement, he was nominated as member of the National Security Advisory Board for 2 terms from 2001 to 2003. In 2007, he was one of the judges for the Asia Pacific Top 10 Companies for Leadership, a study conducted by Hewitt Associates in association with Fortune magazine. Currently, he serves as independent director of well-known multinational companies and is chairman of the India Advisory Board of Coca-Cola. Apart from writing opinion columns in newspapers and professional papers in many magazines and edited books, General Malik has authored 2 books, Kargil From Surprise to Victory and India's Military Conflicts and Diplomacy, an inside view of decision-making, published by HarperCollins, India. He's a frequent speaker and he's on discussion panels on national security, leadership and management issues in India and abroad. It's really an honor to be able to welcome such an eminent personality on our campus. A huge round of applause, please. Thank you.
The first part, I'm going to talk about some of the aspects of leadership and motivation. Some theoretical and some my own experience. I will come out with some anecdotes, etc. The second part, I'll try to make it more interesting by bringing in Kargil War in that. I'll try and bring out some of the aspects only to highlight what kind of leadership and motivation that we can create in an organization. These days we are into the electioneering mode. So everybody keeps talking about one party or one group says कि हर एक चीज खराब है, the other group says कि हमने इतना किया, आप लोग बड़े खराब आदमी हो. Things of this nature. So I'm sure a lot of people, young people, are getting confused. Where are we today? Where is India today? And that is what concerns you. So I thought I'll make this slide just to tell you that, look, the country's fundamentals, economic fundamentals are very strong, okay? And you may find share prices going up and down, etc. But take that's all very temporary. The country as a whole has got strong economic fundamentals which are not changing at the moment. And as you all know, that today our GDP growth is the highest in the whole world. So that is something which we must remember. Democratic institutions, everybody looks up to us today, the way we have carried these democratic institutions for the last so many years now, ever since we became independent. That's it. And we can take great pride in that. Age group, the demography part, we are far ahead of most people today. The developed countries, most of them, whether in Europe or in Japan and countries like that, they are having more and more number of people of older age who have to be dependent on the people who are younger, and number is less, so the earning is also less. So there are lesser number who have to look after the older people. In our case, we have a very large number of young people who have to look after the older people. So in a way, I think that aspect of demography is definitely in our favor, in India's favor. and the reforms, economic reforms, etc., they are already going on. The only thing is that if we have more good leaders among our young people, entrepreneurs among our young people, well, that's the way to go ahead, and we will definitely be a world power. If not today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. So, the point to remember is that our population, 130, I'm sorry, I think the figure is 130 crores, 130 crore people. They are changing, the lifestyle is changing. And I can assure you, it's much faster today than I saw 20 years or 30 years ago. And great opportunity for all of you. That's the most important thing I want to say. Great opportunity for all you have to do is show your leadership qualities and show your entrepreneurship in this. Now I have 5 very simple takes on leadership. The first take is whether we have 5 people working under us or 5 million people. The basic essentials, the fundamentals of leadership, they do not change. They remain the same. So those are the most important aspects. In fact, I will be talking about during this talk. The second aspect might surprise some of you. Leadership is 20% knowledge, 80% attitude. And this is not my research. This is the research from Stanford University done some years ago. Knowledge is important. Please don't say that it is not important. It is important. But what is much more important is your attitude, how you deal with people. Why? As a leader, you have something in your mind and you want your subordinates, people working under you, your colleagues, to do that. So how do you get them to do what you have in your mind? That is the crux of leadership. So knowledge is important, but this is even more important to achieve the goal that you have in your mind. The third one, there are traits written on leadership. There are books and books written on that. I mean, hundreds of traits can be counted, and they keep on varying it also. But the most important thing is character. If you have good character, people will follow you. If they find flaws in your character, they will not follow you. Straight away. Honesty, integrity, things of this nature, good discipline, all these things are important aspects of character. Value system. These are all, so if they see all those are good qualities in you, good characteristics in you, they will follow you. Otherwise, they will stop following you. They will not follow you. Because it is that which creates the bonding. It is that which creates the trust with each other. If you trust me, you will go and face a bullet. This is what happens in the army. You don't trust me, you will find a way how to get out of that. But the fact that in the army, most people are prepared to go and face the bullet means that, yes, they have trust in their leadership. Fourth one is leadership stands for hope, leadership stands for change, and leadership stands for success. I think no better example I can give you than late Brij Mohan Lal ji himself. I mean, from where he started, he kept on being optimistic. People who followed him, they remained optimistic with him. There was hope. Yes, we will do better and better. The more important thing is that challenges have to be accepted by the leaders. If a leader does not accept challenge, he doesn't remain a leader anymore. Last and the most important aspect, personal example. I came from a middle class family. We migrated from now Pakistan to India. I'm talking of pre-partition days. It's the hard work that helps. That's the most important. And my own mentor in the academy used to say there is no shortcut to hard work. Please remember that. That's the most important thing. The second, you have to have self-confidence, Atmavishwas. अगर आपके में अपने में विश्वास नहीं है तो फिर आप दूसरों में कैसे विश्वास करेंगे? So must have self-confidence in you. The third aspect, of course, is the opportunities. You have to recognize the opportunities that come your way, and you have to make use of those opportunities. Once you have lost that opportunity, you have missed something major. So don't ever refuse to take that opportunity when it comes your way. And the last one is experience. Every bit of experience in life, it gives you, it enables you to grow into a better leader. Because experience also means education. Now, opportunities we may not get, all of us may not get the same amount of opportunities, the same number of opportunities. Some are luckier than the others. But the opportunities are there. And some people even create opportunities. Remember that. First, must be very clear in what you want, what is your vision, what's your luxury. Whatever job is given to you, spend a little time to see, okay, what is it that I need to focus on? What is going to be my aim? Any problem that comes your way, first think of that. And only if you know exactly what you want, that you can make others to do that. So a leader must know what he or she wants, only then he or she can be effective. A few aspects, I've just taken 3-4 aspects of ethics and values and character. And the first one I have to say is discipline. Now discipline, I think in an audience like yours, I would say not just discipline, but self-discipline. You are responsible for your own discipline. Don't ask somebody to use a danda on you. This has to be developed within you. Integrity, this is very important. I can give you an example of my own. I became a senior officer and somebody sent a tray full of gifts to my house. I was vice chief at that time, a newcomer to Delhi at that time. So when this gift came, I was quite surprised. I said, what the hell is this? I was not at home when this came. It was when I came back and I saw that. So what I did, next day in the office, I sent the same tray, the same manner, back to the person's office. Kept it open, and I also wrote a small chit, no, don't ever do it again. And I kept that envelope open. And I told my staff officer, now take it, and anybody en route, if he asks you, ye lifafe mein kya likha hua hai, show it to him ke kya likha hua hai. After that, nobody dared to bring, these muft gifts to my house. I didn't accept that, and they knew it, that what will happen. So you have to show that integrity also. It's not just that you must have it, but you should also make it very clear to people that don't start doing these kind of things. They pollute our atmosphere. Team spirit, without team spirit you cannot work. No person alone can do a job and sort of achieve something big. If you want to achieve something big, you have to work in a team. And as I've said, team means identifying yourself with the organization in which you are working, the team in which you are working. And more important thing is, first you have to learn to be a good team member before you can start leading the team. Right? So if you are not a good team member, I don't think you can lead a team properly. So that's another aspect of ethics and values. Last one is on dedication and duty, and I can't give you a better example than our own soldiers who have to do their duty in Siachen sector under the most adverse circumstances, always of nature and sometimes also because of the enemy. And you see this boy who's ready to go on a patrol, just waiting for his other team members to come. That is the kind of dedication that is required. Today, when we talk about the second and the third aspect, we forget. We have a driver who's driving us around. We have a peon standing in the office. We have people at home working for us. We don't bother to see whether they have had their lunch or their dinner. When you go out, you don't bother about your driver whether he's. That's an important thing. You want bonding with people in your team, you have to take care of them. You have to be compassionate, you have to be considerate and look after their welfare also. So practicing ethics and values is necessary today when we talk of Hero Group or we talk of Tata Group or we talk of so many other companies that I can tell you. They have sustained themselves for years and years. Why? Because of the ethics and values that they have imbibed in that organization. It becomes important. Knowledge is today, in fact, every step that you take in life, there is something to be learned. And therefore, you must keep on updating. MBA is not the last word. Every time you keep on learning. So whatever opportunity that you get, in the army, even as a brigadier, I had to do courses, national defense course. Even as a major general, I had to do something. So it's a never-ending thing. You must keep yourself updated. And I've given a quote from Bhagavad Gita, I think it's chapter 3 of that, which says, on earth there is no purifier as great as knowledge. But having said that, or having quoted Bhagavad Gita on that, let me also go to the more important aspect, and that is action. That is acting on what you have learned. Action is even more important. And there, you see what Bhagavad Gita writes. All actions without exception culminate in knowledge. Knowledge and action both lead to supreme bliss. They both are important. However, action is superior to knowledge. So if you have learned something in knowledge and you have not made use of it in actions, you have failed. So action is always important, and therefore action should be a habit. Don't just sit still when there is something happening and you can do something and you keep waiting. And sometimes, the actions you start today, it will take some months, some years, but you have to start sometime. And don't always look for results tomorrow. Communication skills. Communication is not just being able to speak a particular language or write a particular language. Now, giving example of Field Marshal Manekshaw, he knew English, of course. He knew Gujarati, he knew Gurkhali. And I can tell you that he didn't know much of Hindi. But it was his body language that I saw. His body language was great. Whether he was that twinkle in his eyes, the use of arms, the use of standing on one leg sometime, or on both legs sometime. That kind of, that you have to learn to be able to come across as a good leader. There is a quote from this book, The Art of War, written by Sun Tzu, who was a contemporary of Chanakya, 34 BC, I'm talking of. Great strategist, Chinese strategist. And he says, if words of command are not clear and distinct, if orders are not thoroughly understood, the general is to blame. I think that makes it very clear. So you have to be very clear in what you are asking people or telling people. Teamwork is an orchestra which requires good collaboration and harmony. You have a conductor, you can have an orchestra of over 100 pieces, different instruments, musical instruments. But the job of conductor is to make sure that everyone fine-tunes and plays as per the required music. And if one or two are not playing, you will not get the nice sound that you wish to get out of it. So, as a leader, you are conducting an orchestra. A hand has got 5 fingers. Fingers are not equal, but all of them have a role to play. But when you put them together, they make a good fist, a very powerful thing. So remember that in a team, it's very, very difficult to find all 5 people in a team of 5 to be of having equal talent, there will be some who are probably slightly lesser than the others. But as a team leader, you have to carry everybody together to make a good fist, to make it powerful. be willing to listen to everyone. During Kargil war, in the initial stages, we were as I said, on a back foot. And generally, I don't expect in the army a lieutenant colonel to be communicating directly with the army chief. But those are slightly different circumstances. One unit which had come from Siachen and they were going to a peace station, en route they were halted and they were asked to go and attack a feature in Batalik sector. And the officiating CO, Lieutenant Colonel, he had already handed over some important equipment before leaving Siachen. And now he asked, he said, look, I don't have this equipment. But war, the circumstances were such. He said, nee, you go and. So this fellow, while waiting to go for that battle that he had been asked to go into, he wrote a letter to me, direct letter, and he sent it to me saying that, look, I have this problem. I'm not able to, I have shortage of machine guns, mortars, something, A, B, C, D, etc. Luckily, that letter came to me within 1 day or 2 days in Delhi. It was a forces letter, incidentally. So I saw that, and as a chief, you don't really know what exactly is going down on the ground. So next morning, I flew to Srinagar and then to Kargil to find out what is going on. And I spent the whole day. I found that yes, there was a problem. There was a big problem not only with his unit, but other units also. So I spent 24 hours trying to sort out that. And I did manage to the extent it was possible. We had shortages, but you can't expect a unit when it is going for a capture of an objective in the mountains to go without its proper adequate weapons and all. So I sorted that out. The lesson that I am trying to do, that even though you may be at a very high position, always keep your eyes and ears on the ground and be accessible. Before leaving, in fact, we have this order that nobody can, otherwise disciplinary action will be taken. But before leaving Srinagar next day, when I was coming back, I told everyone, don't touch that officer. He's done the right thing. And he will not be punished. Later on, he became a brigadier also. Good thing for him. But what I'm trying to say is that remain accessible and be seen that way. Be decisive even in the fog of war. There was fog of war in the beginning. People kept telling us that these are all mujahideen and jihadis who have been coming into, from the other side of Kashmir to our side of Kashmir. Infiltration has been going on. So everybody thought that these are jihadis because they all came wearing salwar kameez initially, black salwar and blue. So the impression was these are jihadis. Now we have different rules of engagement for them. And I wanted to be sure what. So I gave orders. I said that, look, I want identification in the next 2-3 days. And I don't mind even if we lose 1 or 2 men, but that is important for us. So you have to be decisive. It's a fog of war, ambiguity is there. But you have to be very clear in your mind and let others be also very clear that you mean business about that. Stay calm under pressure like the pilot in storm. How many of you have heard of one Airlines Captain Sullenberger? He was known as Sally generally. Good. This man took off in a plane with about 150 odd passengers from LaGuardia airfield in New York. And within 3 minutes, both his engines sucked geese and became non-operable. Without creating any problem, shouting, screaming, etc., he said, don't worry about it, and asked the air hostesses that keep calm, don't tell them what is happening and all, but just remain safe. And he landed in Hudson River on a cold day. Not one person lost life. I admire his coolness. And that is what is required in a good leader. If you can be cool under those very difficult circumstances, you will create more positivity amongst people who are following you. And that is what is required. So I can't think of a better example than Captain Sullenberger. Visiting on the ground is important. We have a tendency these days, you become chairborne sitting in an air-conditioned offices, and then you start giving orders on the phone or on smartphone, and you keep telling people, or sometimes even audiovisuals that you have. But that's not good enough, because you need to be seen, face-to-face talk. Face-to-face interaction will always always be important. And therefore, that is important. Always lead from the front. Person should see that yes, you are leading from the front, and never hesitate to go there. During Kargil war, believe you me, I had nothing to do with the fighting that was going on there. My job was more in South Block, dealing with international relations, dealing with the other ministries, dealing with the Prime Minister. Every day we used to have meetings, sometimes more than once. But every sixth day, I went to show my face to the Jawans who were fighting there, so that they know that yes, they have a chief who is as concerned about what is going on the ground. Change has always been important. Things keep changing all the time, and you have to cope up with the changes. You have to anticipate change. Earlier days, the change took place sometimes 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. These days, changes are taking place every 5 years, thanks to technology. So anybody who wants to maintain status quo, after some times, he can or she can find himself irrelevant. That is the important aspect of it. So you have to develop that attitude, and I gave the example of late Pridmon Lalji himself, how, say, from cycle parts dealer to this level, how he kept on changing and encouraging that change. Empowerment and delegation of responsibility. The job of senior leaders is not to keep interfering in what the junior leaders have been tasked to do. They have been given some tasks, they have to do their job, and then they have to do it well. Our job at the senior level is to create an atmosphere in which they can do their job well, facilitate their work, and not to interfere in their work. And I can tell you one example here, that you put a Naik or a Havaldar on a guard duty, and you have told him that, look, don't permit anyone to enter the territory that you are guarding. And that Naik or a Havaldar has the authority to shoot and kill. It could be one of his own people also, if that person has not followed the instructions. I'm not talking about the guard, I'm talking about the other person, intruder. And as a senior officer, you can't do anything because he's just doing his duty. So that is meant by empowerment. I mean, that's probably one of the very high examples I have given. But empowerment doesn't mean that every few days you keep interfering, tick, 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 what is going. Then you get on their nerves also. And those people who are working under you, they won't be able to do their job properly. So that is what. But having said that, as I earlier said, that you still have to keep an eye on what is happening. You have to monitor what is happening. That is part of your duty. Stay trusted, accessible to your colleagues. Leaders are problem solvers. If after a few days you are a leader and nobody has come to you with the problem, start doing introspection. Is there anything wrong with me? You expect people who are working under you, when they have a problem, they should come to you, isn't it? So when they don't come to you after some time, I mean, everything is all right, fine, but one day if they have a problem and they have not come to you, something is wrong. So start looking into yourself. Have I gone down somewhere? That, what I said, the day your colleagues stop bringing their problems to you is the day you have stopped leading them. And it's a failure of leadership. Balance in professional life is important. Enjoy your professional work. I'll give some examples later on. Find time for your hobby and enjoyment. Always take care of your health. Health is always important. Be smart. You don't have to dress like an actor. No need to follow film stars. you are in a particular serious profession, you must look that way. Doctor, if the doctor is not looking like a doctor, nobody will go to them. Something like that. Never neglect your family and friends. This is one aspect where I think the corporate sector is going wrong. They don't bother too much about the family and the spouses and all that. That's important. After all, everybody is earning. He or she is earning because of the family. And the family is happy, you have a good person, worker with you. So never neglect your family and friends, and do not become a slave to your smartphones. All this business of all the time, looking at the smartphones and all. That's a bad habit, and so try and stay away from that. Creates more problems. And the last advice that I would give before we go to the Kargil war aspect is be happy and content with your achievement. I used to give an advice to new commanding officers. When you pick up a new command, you have about 700, 750 people working under you. And they will do exactly what you tell them to do. That's the army organization. If you say everybody in 2 minutes you all come together at so and so place, they will come. So that's a great command that you have so many people working on you. So my advice to them was, command is like a heady wine. I hope you all understand what is a wine. And a heady wine is something that you enjoy, a good wine. So I should tell them it's a heady wine. You sip it slowly, you will enjoy it. But you drink it fast, it will go to your head and you will fall flat on your nose and you will destroy everything that you have earned. So keep your feet on the ground. Doesn't make any difference what achievement they will come your way. The awards will come your way. The achievements will come. The success will come your way. But don't ever start, going into stratosphere runs. Keep your feet on the ground. That is the most important aspect.